God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I grew up in upstate New York, a small little town, and I can remember one particular day that really brought home how important these two women have been in my life. I was at college at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and it was snowing that day, and I called my grandmother, my Nan, to see how she was doing, and I said, "Hey, Nan, how are you?" And she said, "I just got off the roof." And I was like, "Why are you on the roof?" And she said, "Well, I shoveled it off. Your grandfather can't get up there." My Nan was not afraid to roll up her sleeves to do what needed to be done. Later that day, I was in a calculus working group, study group, and we'd gotten stuck. And I picked up the phone, and one of my friends said, "Well, who are you calling? Are you calling your tutor?" And I said, "No, I'm calling my grandmother." My maternal grandmother has a PhD in nuclear physics, and when I look at what she did, she had 9 children. She could bake and quilt and sew and rebuild laptops. And so from a young age, when I look at these two fabulous women who had very different characteristics, one very academic and smart and pushing for continuous education, and another woman who's not afraid to get up on a roof and shovel off the snow because it needs to be done, I like to carry the best parts of both of them with me. Being a woman in the energy industry has both its blessings and its curses. I think some of the challenges that we face primarily at the executive level is the relationship building and the mentoring. When I look back on my career, I've been lucky to have several women, strong women, who were helped me along my career path. But there's just not that many of us. I think we need to get more women at a young age involved in STEM, science and engineering in particular. I think we need to find out why so few women want to come into the energy industry, and then why once they get here, not that many stay. I think part of it has to do with the nature of a trade floor. It's not an environment for thin skin. You have to be aggressive. You have to think on your feet. And you can't be afraid to get in somebody's face, because in the moment when the volatility shows up and prices are changing and information's flying all around, you have to contribute. You have to be part of the solution. And I think many women have a hard time seeing themselves in those roles. If there was an easy way to fix the challenges women face, we would have done it already. I do think there are several things that we can continue to work on as an industry going forward. So finding more women interested in coming into the energy space, supporting them in their decision to come into the industry, and then once they get here, try to retain, mentor, and promote those women here, whether it's EDF or in the industry as a whole. I do think there are some things that could be done short-term and long-term that would help promote women in energy. I'm on the board of the Gulf Coast Power Association, and a couple years ago, a board meeting, and we're all sitting around looking, doing the reflection on how did the latest conference go. And one of the things that I brought up is, we had 4 panels, 5 people on a panel, but we did not have a single woman on the stage. And not that we don't have strong, capable, knowledgeable women who could step up into those roles. It's just we didn't look around and say, hey, who do we have promoting the industry? Who do we have that could help, that maybe looks or acts or comes from a slightly different background than the traditional utility? Proud to say that since then, we've added the Women's Empowerment Initiative. We have an all-day women's conference. This will be our 3rd year this year in Austin, Texas. And we've created networking groups, mentoring, and other ways that we can help get women more support in the energy space. So when I think about how can we remove the barriers and how can we help women be more excited about having energy careers and stay with us, I do think it's important to reward the women who are making a difference, to make sure there's seats at the table for our female colleagues, to make sure that women get out of the office and do more networking. Men are often, on the golf course or in the duck blinds with their customers, spending 5, 6, 7 hours at a clip. women will often stay back and work in the office and think that that's what needs to get done. So they're very tactical that way. And in energy, when there's more transparency and the systems are doing more of the work, getting deals done often relies on the relationships that you have with those suppliers and with those customers. And when you're in a pinch and you need help, who are you going to call? The person you just spent 8 hours in the duck blind with, or someone who maybe is technically smart but you haven't talked to in a while? And I think that for women, they need to focus on not just being technically good or getting the things that need to be done in the office done every day. They also have to work on building those relationships that will help them throughout their career. I hope someday to have a legacy much like both my grandmothers did. When I look at how you can change someone's life, it's often not the big things, it's the little things that they remember. The very first speech I ever gave at a women's conference, I mentioned my grandmother and how she got her PhD when she turned 68 years old. And not just any PhD, but a PhD in nuclear physics. And I had a woman just a year ago come up to me and say, I was at that speech, I listened to that, I went back to school. I was 50 years old. I thought it was too late for me. She goes, I finished my degree. She goes, and you made that difference in my life, so thank you. But my legacy is really about creating something special, about doing things in a way that weren't done before, providing efficiency, providing smarter tools, build stronger relationships between our customers, our suppliers, and our employees. I tell my folks all the time, we're not just here to do a good job, we're here to have fun too. And I do think that at EDF, we have created a culture where our team feels very empowered to make changes, to promote our customers' positions, and to find ways to really push innovation around the energy space.